Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Plucker. Today's video isn't going to be about games, but it's actually going to be about Switch controllers. Now, for anyone who may be in the same boat as me, I'm not a big fan of the Joy-Cons. They just don't really seem like they were made for adult hands. No matter which way I hold them, they really never feel comfortable, and I never find myself using them to actually play any of my Switch games. So, with the whole Super Nintendo Switch Online. I hate saying that because it's such an amalgamation of words put together. I don't know why they named it that, but whatever. For the Super Nintendo games, it's now brought to you by the Switch Online service. Um, I ended up going with the 8-bit Super Nintendo form factor controller. Now, this is not the one with the analog sticks on it, just because I wanted to keep it as close to the original Super Nintendo controller as possible. And I also went with a Bebicool, I believe is how you pronounce it. Let's see. Babuncool. Bebuncool. I don't know. It's weird because it feels like it sounds very Jamaican, but yet I know it's not Jamaican made because of all the obviously non-Jamaican writing right here. But and this is the SN30, the by 8-bit dough. As like I said, it doesn't have the analog sticks on it. I wanted to keep it a little more closer to the actual Super Nintendo form factor. But yeah, let's talk about the pros and cons of these. Okay, so we can start off with the 8-bit dough controller. We'll take a look at that one first. Like I said, it pretty much looks exactly just like your normal Super Nintendo controller would look. Uh, Although it does feel a tad bit heavier, probably just due to the wireless and stuff like that included in it with the Bluetooth. Um, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. As you can see, it also supports Windows, Android, Switch, Mac OS, and Steam. So here's pretty much your controller. Like I said, it looks just like your normal Super Nintendo controller, although it does have the micro USB up here for charging the controller. So it's not battery operated. So that's already great. Nothing worse than a wireless controller that takes batteries. Now, you have your regular old instruction manual, and you also have your charger that comes in, with your charging cable that comes in. There's no nugget or anything. This isn't a phone. Just plug it into your desktop or plug it into your Switch or whatever it is you're using it for to charge it. Now, the first thing I want to say about this controller is that what it's supposed to do, as in pretty much replicate a Super Nintendo controller, it does perfectly. I had no problems whatsoever using this for any of the Super Nintendo Online Switch games that I had. It worked pretty much as advertised for it. Now, one of the main features on this, which is probably the first time I've ever seen this in a Bluetooth enabled, I guess, wireless controller, is I'm not sure if anyone else has had this issue, but if you've ever paired a Bluetooth device to multiple devices in your home, or maybe you have something, your headphones, for instance. Headphones are a perfect example for this. You may have them paired to your computer. You may also have them compared to your iPad or your Android phone or your iPhone or whatever the case may be. Now, when you turn on when you turn on the headphones, it's a battle for which one it gets connected to. This controller actually solves that issue by assigning a button combination so that it will connect to a certain device. For instance, if you hold the Start and X button, it will connect to a Windows device, so your Windows desktop computer or your Windows laptop computer. Now, if you hold Start and Y, it will connect to the Nintendo Switch. If you hold Start and B, it will connect to any Android device that you have. Maybe you're using it to play games on your phone and you want a dedicated controller. And if you hold Start and A, it will connect to any Mac OS device that you're using, most likely a laptop or a desktop. Now, that actually is probably one of the best features I've ever seen in a Bluetooth enabled controller, just because I've had that issue before when I've used Bluetooth controllers in the past that I've used for my computer and also for other devices, especially when I used to use my old Xbox controllers and my PlayStation control. Especially when I used to use my old Xbox and PlayStation controllers on my desktop to play certain games when I wanted a dedicated controller. It was always a pain getting them to sync back up to the Xbox or the PS3 or the PS4. Granted, you can plug them into the cable, but for PlayStation owners, I know that there's times even sometimes that doesn't work. Now, you might have also noticed that there is no home button on this controller at all. Uh, they got around that as well. If you do start and down at the same time, it will take you to the home screen for the Nintendo Switch. Now, the only issue with that is if you're ever moving down and hit start in the game, it will back you out to the home screen. Granted, you can just go right back into the game. It's not like it closes the game, but it does get a little annoying from time to time. Also, I just want to point out if you ever needed to know what the I guess hot button combinations for connecting it to certain devices would be, they have it right here listed on the back. So you can see, switch is Y plus it has the power button icon right here, but it's actually the start button. And then of course it has the ones for the Windows, the Mac, and also Android. So that works perfect for that. If you ever do forget, if you ever do lose your little instruction manual that outlines it, you can always look here on the back and you still have it. Now for the battery life for this is actually really good. You actually get 18 hours of playing time, and I didn't take out a clock and measure if it was actually 18 hours, but what I can say is that I've been playing a ton of games with this, and I have not had to reconnect it once to charge. And I've had this controller I've had this controller since Link's Awakening came out. So what, 2 to 3 weeks? I've never had to charge it once yet. It takes about an hour to 2 hours to charge from zero to fully charged. If you get to that point, like I said, I haven't even gotten to that point yet, and I've had the controller for quite a while. Now, these indicator lights up here, if they ever do flash red while you're playing, that means that the battery is getting low. Once you plug it in, when the battery starts charging, they'll repeatedly flash red, and when the battery's full, then they'll stop flashing altogether. I kind of wish that they would did some type of indicator progress for your battery charging. And case in point, if you started off charging, say it blinks red, that lets you know your battery is low, but it's charging. Say it gets to about the midway point, maybe it starts blinking yellow to let you know, like, okay, hey, you got about half charge. But if you wanted to go ahead and detach it and get you maybe what should be 8 hours of playtime, 8 to 9 hours, you can do that. And then if it starts flashing green or maybe a solid green, then that lets you know, hey, the controller is fully charged, it's ready to go. Now, this controller is actually really affordable. I got it for 25 bucks off Amazon. Can't really beat that, especially if you're looking for wireless controllers from Nintendo. If you want to get their Nintendo Pro controller, you're looking at $60 to $70. And even though I really hate the Joy-Cons, I don't hate the functionality in them, but I just hate how small they are. I'm not paying $70 for a Pro controller. That's not happening. So this is why I started looking for some alternatives that could fill the roles I need them to fill. This one mostly is for Nintendo Online and for the Super Nintendo Online services for the Nintendo Switch. So for anyone out there that's looking for a good controller, especially for, like I said, the Nintendo Online and Super Nintendo Online services on the Nintendo Switch, or maybe you're just looking for a good controller for some old school games that you have on your computer, especially Super Nintendo, any Game Boy games, any Nintendo games, stuff like that, this controller will be perfect for it, and I would definitely recommend you getting it as it's cheap. I mean, $25 for a controller is good, and it's feels great, has nice weight to it. All the buttons work. There's no input delay, nothing like that. It's just a great controller all around, so definitely recommend getting this one. Now to talk about the other controller, our Bibuncool controller. Weirdly enough, like I said, even though this sounds very Jamaican to me, it's actually made in China. So I don't know how they came up with that name. It doesn't seem like a very, I guess, Chinese sounding name. I don't know. It still sounds Jamaican to me. I don't know. But we're gonna get past it. Maybe I won't get past it. Now, if you were looking for a cheap controller within the $25 to $30 range that had all the bells and whistles you could probably ever think of that you would need in a Nintendo Switch controller, this would be your controller. This one right here would definitely be your controller. Let's see, we'll go ahead and unbox it. As you can see, it doesn't come in any fancy any fancy packaging at all. That is not what they're shooting for here. Maybe to keep costs down, I don't know. Let's knock this out. Get out of there. Anyway, sit you to the side. As you see, it's a regular old plain box. You have some instructions. And you have your controller in a bubble wrap. You can see this, they do make different models. I really like this one the best, so I bought this one, and you can only get it in this color. Very yellow. I don't know. I kind of just said, well, maybe it's Pikachu. That's what I said to myself, and I ended up buying it. I'm happy I actually got it because I really love the form factor, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. We can get rid of that, I guess. Also, you have your charging cable and whatever the hell this is. Your 3-year warranty, 45-day return, and 75-day replacement, apparently. 3-year warranty isn't bad. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of all that stuff. Can actually get rid of this as well. We don't need all this on screen. So if you are first taking this controller out of the box and you just want to go ahead and pair it to your Nintendo Switch, all you have to do is hit the home button and the Y button simultaneously. Hold it down for 4 seconds while you're at the change grip screen or change order screen on your Nintendo Switch. And then it will connect to the Switch and you should see the controller icon pop up and you're good to go. So in talking about this controller, the first thing I want to point out is that obviously it has a very Xbox form factor to it. And this is, to me, the biggest positive of this controller, just because I've always liked the offset analog sticks. That's always been my favorite thing, even though I'm a PlayStation guy, and obviously PlayStation has the analog sticks kind of side by side. Never been a big fan of it, but I just get used to it. I've always enjoyed the Xbox controller a lot more. It just feels better in the hand to me. But like I said, this controller is perfect for the Switch. It has every functionality that you need to play games on the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, even though it has every button you would need, you could also still play the Nintendo and Super Nintendo online games. Obviously, you'd have buttons that you wouldn't utilize, but you can still use this controller for those games. Now, the great part about that is if you did use it for those games, you have the legit D-pad right here. This is a great D-pad. I hate the ones, like I said, talking about the Xbox. I hate any of them that have that circular D-pad. I just never been a big fan of that, especially if you're going to play it on older games. The analog sticks feel great. Obviously, you have your plus and minus or start and select, or whatever you want to call them for the Switch. You have your home button right here. You also have a screen capture button as well. And you also have what is on this controller, your turbo or your auto fire for this. So that's what I said. This controller literally packs everything in. Has dual vibration motors down here at the bottom. You can even adjust the vibration intensity. Insert all your dirty jokes there, you dirty people. But yes, you can control the vibration intensity if you needed some very intense vibration. Or maybe you don't like a vibration at all. Vibration. Or maybe you don't like a vibration at all. You can turn it completely off. So if you wanted to increase the vibration intensity for this controller, you would just hold the start or plus button and hit up on the directional pad. Hold those simultaneously for 5 seconds to increase it one level. Again, the same thing, but hold down for 5 seconds and you will decrease it one level. It's actually 4 different levels for this at 0%, which is off, 30%, 70%, and 100% when it comes to the vibration intensity. Now, speaking about the turbo for this, if you hit the turbo button and then hit one of the buttons, it will turn on turbo for that button. So that way, when you push the button and hold it, it'll just keep firing or keep sending that button input. Maybe you're not playing a shooting game. I don't know why you would need turbo outside of shooting games, but hey, it's there. If you hit this button again and select the same button, then that button will just continuously press, send the input without you having to touch it at all, hence the auto fire. And if you push the turbo button again and that button for a third time, then it turns off both of those functions and it goes back to your normally functioning button. Now, you can also change the turbo speed for this button. So let's say you push it once and you hit the button, you'll have the level 1 turbo speed, which according to them is 5 shoots per second. Yes, they put 5 shoots. I don't don't ask me, but whatever. It's 5 shoots per second. And the channel light here will actually flash at a slow rate just to let you know that you're on 5 shoots per second. Now, if you hold this button and then push upward on this analog stick, then you will increase the turbo speed for that button. So if you hit the turbo button, push up on the right analog stick, then it will increase to 12 shoots per second. Yes, shoots. And then, of course, you do it again, push it up again, then it will increase to 20 shoots per second. And this, or whatever, if you're first player, second player, third player, whatever one is lit up will flash even faster. So if it flashes at a slow rate, you're at level 1, 5 shoots. It flashes at a moderate rate, you're at 12 shoots. And it flashes ridiculously fast, then you're at 20 shoots per second for that button. Also, that does the same thing for the auto fire. So if you do auto fire, you can increase the rate that you want it to shoot as well. Now, if you wanted to decrease it, obviously you hit that and you hit the turbo button and then down on the right analog stick, and that would decrease it down 1 level. So if it was on 5, be off. If it was on 20, it would go to 12. If it was on 12, it would go to 5. And speaking back about the other controller where I was talking about the light indicators, especially when you're charging, this one, out of all that it has in it, fails to do that as well. It does the same, just flashes all of them, and while it's charging, and then when it's done charging, they just turn off. This one is weird to me because it actually has 4 lights on it. You would think that it could just light up each light as it progressed through its charge. So obviously, if this one is blinking alone down at the bottom, you'd be, okay, I'm at the bottom 25%. Next one, obviously, I'm closer to 50. Next one, 75. And the top is 100. You get the picture. I feel like they really should have done that to give you some type of indicator as to how charged the controller is, because sometimes you want to use it, but you don't know how much juice it actually has. And sometimes you'll pull it off and realize you really don't have that much juice, or you can know that, okay, I have 75%, and that's good enough for me. Like, I can still get quite a bit of time out of it. And speaking about the time for this controller, this one actually comes in at about 4 to 6 hours of gameplay. It is a drastic drop off from the previous controller, the SN30, but this one does have a ton of stuff in it. So that's probably what you're really pulling on the battery, especially your vibration. You have your auto fires and all that stuff. Like, it's a lot packed into here. So that's probably why the battery life isn't as great. But for everything that it does, I mean, I'll take that. 4 to 6 hours is not bad. Plus, I mean, it's not like it takes batteries. You can just charge it with your cable that it provides you. It actually comes with a USB-C cable, so that's great. And yeah, So if I had to choose one, or if I had to recommend one over the other, this would definitely be the one I would recommend, just because it has everything you could possibly ever want in a controller, and it's at a cheap $25 to $30 price point. You can get this off Amazon. That's where I got mine. Um, so yeah, with that being said, that's going to be it. And I hope this helped out anyone who was having the same issue as me, not really liking the Joy-Con controller all that much, and looking for a really good alternative to the Nintendo Pro controller because it's way too damn expensive. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch you in the next one. So, peace.